There we go. That's okay, ladies, gentlemen, and as Jello Biafra would say, potato chip bags everywhere. Oh, man. Just a lovely, lovely, lovely day out. One of them perfect days for doing yard work because it's not like a billion degrees outside and it feels like that you're walking on the sun, Not the song, I mean literally walking on the sun, it feels like. But, oh, hang on, I'm in one of my lawn mowing shirts, you say. Always make sure them guys can see me because you never know when you got to slip up by the road and people drive like morons. But I figure, they're going to see this massive bright orange object up ahead and, know that it's me, or maybe we should avoid that. It could take out a fender. Like I'll never forget when we had, one of the first, a couple of years we were down here, somebody took out the mailbox and of course they drove off, leaving shards of their headlight all over the place. And oh man. But the funniest part of it was they didn't even hit the mailbox. They hit the full trash container, which literally flew through the air with so much force, it snapped through that board that thick, holding up the mailbox, knocked it out on the yard. So, no snow here yet. It's all global warming. Greta Thunberg's going to save us. I have nothing against people making a statement, but what has she done really to earn a Nobel Prize? There are kids out there who are graduating high school at 15 with 4.0s, who are figuring out quantum theory and shit like that, and yet they get no recognition. Yet some entitled brat goes up in front of the UN and screams about how we need to do this, we need to do that. Yet you tell me, genius, when she comes up with the solution to global warming, then give the little hag a damn Nobel Prize. But just bitching about it doesn't earn you a damn award. I just can't figure that shit out. It's not like I hate the person, but I'm like, why are you throwing awards at somebody for making a statement? Hell, if we gave an award to everybody who bitched about a global thing, we'd be handing them out to everybody at the frickin' water cooler or in the John at work. Oh, it just amazes the shit out of me, because everybody's like, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. The problem is this. The way that carbon tax credit system was originally set up, it was set up by a guy you all know named Al Gore. Now, remember he won his big prize and they made a documentary, and what they didn't tell you was if that system had gone into effect, the thing he set up to monitor it would have made like $1.2 billion within the first few years. So please tell me this rich bastard is really giving a shit about global warming. No, he was concerned about making money and fleecing you. But also, here's the problem. Our weather on this planet. How many here are in the northern United States right now? Say north of, let's draw a line through the states, like say right around Missouri and up. How many here are north of Missouri? Around abouts. Come on, anybody? Or in the U.S., say north of. Okay, Oregon. Where you are sitting right now, not even, think like 20,000 years ago, was under a 2-mile thick ice cap. Do you think Ugg the caveman was bitching about global warming? Ugh. And yet, well, I'm sorry, Anon. You can't please everybody, but our weather system varies so much. And I normally don't touch on political subjects. It's just the fact that, look, I know there's people out there who are wanting to do good. They're wanting to, help spread a message. But the problem is there's nothing you can do about it. And also, keep in mind, we've had animals farting on this planet, putting out methane and everything else in levels that you wouldn't believe if you actually looked at the figures. Yet us, in less than 200 years of industrialization, is going to wipe out the climate system. The climate system is not what I am worried about. I'm worried about the frickin' pollution. Everybody seems to think that they magically put a Band-Aid on like Fukushima and it went away. Fukushima, the nuclear power plant, is still leaking radiation into the damn Pacific Ocean. They are picking up trace radiation in California wine that traces back to guess where? Fukushima. Yet everybody seems it just was all solved because it's no longer covered on the 6 o'clock news or whatever you got news from. Also, the Gulf oil spill. Everybody remember that? Wiped out the whole damn ecosystem down there for God knows how many years before it's going to recover, if it does. Yet guess what? It's still leaking. Yet you don't hear about it, do you? Nor do you hear about the moronic attempt. It's like, I know there's guys out there who came up with a lot better idea than spraying a chemical in the water that's supposed to break down the oil, but instead even contaminates the area more. Now, why am I addressing these issues? Because there's things we can focus on that we can control, and there's things that in reality we can't. And the problem is there's a lot of people out there who are looking to make a fast buck about people who care. There's too many people out there in the upper echelons who see kindness as a weakness. And forgive me if I sound like I'm sounding off about a political thing. I am. But I just thought I'd bring it up because it's been ringing through my head today, because I have nothing personal against Miss Thunberg. I really don't. I'm glad she's made a statement about something she believes in. But the system that would be put in place would cost hundreds of thousands of jobs, because then they'd say, we got an excuse now to shut down all these plants because now we can't make enough money because we got to pay this. Meanwhile, there's some rich bastard sitting up there collecting the money that's supposed to fix the weather system. It just doesn't work. Exactly. We're going through a period like the reason why I don't believe it, and I want to get off this subject in a hurry. So if you think this is all going to be me going political, it's just, I want to touch on it now. How many here remember, and it was less than a decade ago, when NASA did that satellite study of Mars, and they discovered that, look, the polar ice caps on Mars are melting. How the hell are we affecting that shit? Are you telling me that our Hummers are so kick-ass they're melting the climate on the planet next door? Oh, but it's just, I love it when people do come forward to make change. But the problem is, we've got things we really got to take care of. There's far too much pollution on this planet. We've got far too many animals coming up on the ocean, on the beaches now with God knows how much plastic in their guts. And that's the thing we should be focusing on, is getting rid of freaking plastic. The climate is going to be the climate. There's no way on this planet you're going to do anything that's going to control the climate. Me personally, my theory, I kind of believe what George Carlin said. Mother Earth, sooner or later, is going to get tired of us. And she's going to shake us off like a bad case of fleas. Matter of fact, you notice, wow, the temperatures are going up. Maybe that's Mother Earth getting a fever to get rid of us. You never know. The Gaia hypothesis, a lot of people don't consider that what if planets are living organisms? Maybe she's tired of our infestation. Time to get rid of those ticks. But let's get on to Doctor Who. I don't want to spend the whole thing. I've already gone 10 minutes on, I think, almost about that. But it's just something that it stirs me up a bit, because you're not going to change the weather. Matter of fact, if you want to get up in front of the UN and bitch, why don't you tell them if there's something going on with the weather, why don't anybody go look at that little station up in Alaska called HARP that's supposedly civilian, yet you can only visit it twice a year under a guided tour. You have to make an appointment. You have to be approved for the appointment, and yet you go there and there's military vehicles all over the place, and there's reports from everybody they're lighting up the stratosphere on fire. maybe they got something to do with it. Something to think about. But let's get back to Doctor Who. Now, something really interesting did happen today. Now, or actually it was the other day. Very sorry. When you go over here, and it was put up on Cult Box, Jodie Whittaker spoke to Zoe Ball Breakfast Show on Friday morning, this yesterday. Quote, I'm in my trailer in Cardiff and ready to go on set. It's such an exciting feeling. We're coming to the end of shooting, and we're all really, really excited to show it off. There is so much happening. There really is. It's 9 wonderful months of running about and coming up against some very exciting monsters along the way. Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm in my trailer right now with Mandip Gill, who is overseeing this bit information to make sure I do it properly. End quote. So there you have it. Filming for Series 12 is now finally reaching the end game. Oh my God, I switched screens and YouTube didn't freak out. Yay! So that's what we have as of yesterday. Now, somebody told me a long time ago, and I wish to God I could find it. I lost my notes from earlier this year in a mishap I was shuffling stuff around. And somebody told me they were going to be filming to mid-October. And I can't remember who. So, nah. You don't want to, sorry, if I get a little sniffly, it's just because I just got done cutting the grass. It hasn't been all that rainy, so all that dry shit's coming up in the air. And, I've been out there breathing it in for the last hour or so. That's why my voice is probably a little bit, raspy to you, because that's the way it sounds to me right now. So I've been hitting the water bottle here a little bit. So, okay, it sounds like Series 12 is finally coming to the end of filming. Now, remember, earlier on this year, the word early was the keynote word for the BBC. Early January. It's early 2020. Early 2020. But what's the definition of early? That's the big question, because now you've got all these people running around stirring up rumors on the big GB saying they're not going to air it till April. And everybody's like, I want a trailer and I want one right now. If they're just filming up footage, they should have at least had a trailer ready by now. Even if it's just the first couple of episodes of the season. But now, how many here on your encounters on Twitter came up against an account named Rassilon Resurrected? Now, Rassilon Resurrected, whoever this was putting up photos that were from like February of this year. And all it was extras. And these photos were like old. These were like, months ago. And the BBC, chopping it down. It's like, maybe people want to see something because you're not giving them any goddamn thing. We should have a teaser right now. We should have a mini-sode. And as much as I enjoyed Jodie singing, yes, I did listen to her rendition cover of Yellow. And it's not bad. It's not like I can critique singing because I sing like shit. It's just... And then, it wasn't that bad. But they should be giving us more than Tennant and Whittaker and a bunch of others on an album for children in need. It's like they've really thrown advertising a Doctor Who out the window for Series 12. And the thing is, your sophomore year, you've really, really got to be there. You've got to pump it. You've got to think. They should have been at Comic-Con this year. They should have been at New York Comic-Con this year. But then again, they were probably filming. But at the same time, look at these breaks they've had. Put their asses on a bus. Put them in a table. Get them out there promoting the damn show. Because people, here's the thing that killed, I think, the latter part of the Capaldi era. It's people got sick, or the Moffat era. People got sick and tired of the split seasons, the years off, and you'll notice that even during Smith's time, the ratings are slowly going downward. Then they took that 2016 freaking hiatus, and the ratings for Series 10 were like 5.5 average, 5.5 million. It's called, if it's out of sight, then suddenly after a while, it becomes out of mind. Sometimes you start watching other things, you get sidetracked, or it's like, there's people who even still asking me, Dr. Freedom, is there going to be another series of Doctor Who? Because they don't know. And that's sad. It really is. It should not take 9 months to film 10 episodes. They used to crank out 12 or 13 in like 10 months. Here in America, like I said, it's a bit of a grind, and there's no way the British actors would do it on British pay. But we pump out series with like 22 one-hour episodes every year or more. And it's like, because you have to remember, though, you don't want a British actor to do that on British pay. Why do you think all the British actors come to the United States? They're looking for money. They're looking for something that can actually pay the bills. Folks, let me give you an example. Jodie Whittaker, for Series 11, made £240,000 for that year. It sounds like a lot of money, don't it? But then, those kids on Stranger Things for last season made $250,000 for how many episodes was in the last season? I'm sorry, I'm brain frying. They made $250,000, these kids, each, except for 11, who made $350,000. See what I mean? And then you had actors like Hugh Laurie, who came over here and did House. For the last few years of House, he was making $1 million an episode. Or sorry, I got it wrong. I think the kids were making $250,000 per episode. Sorry. That's why I screwed up. And Millie Bobby Brown's making $350,000 per episode, I think. So that was per episode on Stranger Things. Whereas Jodie is getting $240K pounds. Pounds are more valuable than dollars right now, but still, that's for a whole year. Like I said, Hugh Laurie on House was making $1 million an episode. $1 million an episode. And he took a pay cut for the last year, Series 8, so they could actually get it put out. And that was like $800K per episode. Whereas you're the Doctor, I think the highest paid one I can think of, I can't remember how much they paid Eccleston for his first year, but I think he was one of the highest paid ones. I know they gave Smith a bit of a pay bump to keep him around for the 50th anniversary, because he was looking for the door a long time before the 50th anniversary aired. I have not seen Joker Supreme Dalek. Very sorry. It's just, I really rarely go out to the theater anymore. Yeah. You got it. You got it. Yeah. You see what I mean? No. I do not see Berriman back on Who. I really don't. For one, he's coming back as a semi-regular for this final season of Arrow. And yeah, Eccleston was like 350 or 400. Like I said, I got nothing against Jack, but I think his story was told. I love how Moffat now, I've confirmed the story that Jack was supposed to come back for Good Man Goes to War and get his head cut off, become the face of Bo. I go, that was after how many fans stated that one as a fan theory? It was all my idea all along. That curly-headed bastard. Trailer, like I said, I don't believe it's going to happen. I really don't. But everybody was floating the date October 13th for a while. But like I said, I don't see it happening. Not if they're just wrapping up 12 now, in the next couple of weeks. Unless they do something that involves the first half of the series and it's already ready. Yeah, I think that's about right, actually, because Eccleston was like one of the highest paid, because a lot of people seem to forget that before Eccleston came in to Doctor Who, he was already doing movies and shit. I'm leaving Sea Devils in the rumor pile along with the Master at this point, because I found out later that this mainly was coming from Gallifrey Base, and I don't trust Gallifrey Base If Gallifrey Base were to tell me it was raining outside, I'd have to set out foot out the door and get at least soaking wet before I believe them. Very sorry. Well, Matt Smith was the only my big thing I have against Matt Smith. He's a great actor. Yeah, at least as far as Doctor Who is concerned. And like I said, I really haven't watched him in much anything else. But on Doctor Who, he really did a good job playing an old character in a young man's body. I'll give him that. It's just all of a sudden, everybody's like, he's this great ambassador for the show. He didn't do jack shit for the fans when he was a doctor. If he saw a young kid, at least I'll give him the props that, yeah, he'd give that kid something to make his day. But anybody else was out there lined up at the set, he basically ignored them. So did, Coleman until Peter Capaldi came along. And that's the only real thing I have against Matt Smith is he suddenly started really caring for the fans when they started shelling out money for his autograph. And God knows how much, for a photo op. Peter Capaldi, yeah, definitely the best. Dave Tennant did try when he had time. So you got to give Tennant props. Eccleston in his last few years, even when he's out in public or when he was for coming in to do the plays, he would come out the stage door and he would sign stuff for people for free. Like I said, Jenna, I'm only going off what some people told me. There's a friend of mine who lives in that area. Like I said, all right, this is what he said. I didn't. She's a bitch. That's what he said. Okay. Also, go look at some of her photo op photos. You notice that you're only going to see one every now and then where she actually even comes near the person who you're taking the photo op with. And I'm like, now me, when I do a photo op, even when I did the one with Pearl Mackie, I always ask the person, look, do you mind if I put my arm around you or not? Because I don't like intruding on people's personal space. It's just, I don't want to just walk up and grab somebody and say, here, come here, babe. Let's do this photo. Let me feel your butt. I just don't feel comfortable doing that. So, and I think Pearl was a bit shocked when I did that too, to be honest with you. I was like, do you mind if because I don't like just walking up and assuming that people want me to touch them. Okay. It's common courtesy. So, but the thing is, go look at some of Jenna's photos with fans on photo ops. She's like over here and they're here. And then when it's a group shot, she's always like the furthest one from the fan. And here's the one thing I can't stand about her photos. In the majority of them, you're going to see, I can't stand thumbs ups and finger pistols in a photo op. I'm sorry. Let's take a nice, dignified, cool photo so I have a memory of that moment. I'm not going to go around saying, yeah, we showered together because of that photo. It's a nice memory to have. So most of the photos I have with celebrities have been free. Like Claudia Christian. We just asked her, look, do you mind if we do a photo? And I said, it's a long story, but she kind of teased me. She goes, oh, why not? She comes out and then she just threw her arm around me and that photo happened. Gil Gerard, I met him at a con. Boom. Same thing with Tracy Lords. It's not Jennifer Gray. Sorry. Erin Gray asked for $1 donation. I gave her like $5 for her charity. And I said, hey, look, I can do that because she was collecting money for charity for it. So, but like I said, most times it used to be, yes, I've met Tracy Lords. It was 2004, and she was still out there giving autographs at sci-fi stuff for the sci-fi series First Wave, even though it had been over a couple of years at that point, if I remember right. The problem is, it just seems to me like she always had a bit of an ego, and then after she did Victoria, it just exploded. Well, after all, she's still doing Victoria. So Victoria is not kind of a big stretch for her. No, First Wave was on Sci-Fi. It had something to do with an alien race was going to invade, and they found these secret quatrains of Nostradamus, and he had this buddy of his who would interpret them for him. And then, they set this, they were doing experiments on humans. Like, they set this guy up to make it look like he murdered his wife, blah, blah. We're monitoring him, see how he reacted and all that. It was kind of screwed up. Sorry, trying to get my voice back a little bit because, like I said, I was out riding around in the lawn. And yeah, it's an older one. It was I want to say 98 to 2001. It only ran 3 series. First wave. Oh, let's get that out of here. I'm going down. Don't panic. I don't think there's a big spider down there. Oh, come here. I want to say January, but I doubt it at this point if they're still finishing Series 12. So, unless they do like they did the 1 year, like I said, I don't know why people think it's impossible, because I remember 1 year where they were finishing filming the second half of the series while they were airing the first. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't mean to ignore you there. About somebody asked, will Unit return? I think they will. But you think there's another reason why they may have avoided Unit, and that's because you heard Oliver is a bitch. I mean, sorry, I just got. There we go. That's better. But remember, Osgood is a Moffat character. This is Kate Stewart, even though she first appeared in an independent fan production, I think is still technically, I don't know how that works. But so they'd have to explain where they are. Like, they had to explain what the hell happened to Malcolm, and I really wish he'd been in the 50th rather than Osgood. Yeah, Grade. Yeah, Michael Grade suddenly reappearing. So a unit can come back at any time. They weren't disbanded. They were suspended pending review. You got to remember, one of the big things that always happened, like in Sarah Jane Adventures or when you're watching Unit or you're watching Torchwood, everybody's like, how come Unit don't know about this? They kind of did that to say, okay, Unit's not going to be available as a crutch to fall back on. Yeah, I just read that. Whose books? I just read that, quote a minute ago. Where, Jodie said they're nearing the end of filming. Like I said, Jadoon, Cybermen are definite. Sea Devils, rumor at this point. Until I see something more definite, I'm leaving them on the rumor pile. Same thing with the Master rumor. That's definitely staying on the rumor pile. Until I see something hardcore. Cybermen are definitely in it, Mikey. We have photos of them being filmed on set. Now we have photos of them forward and backward. You got the handles on the head. It's Cybermen. They've been redesigned. I like the way they did the leg armor. But Daleks, we don't know. I really don't know. They may make an appearance. They always turn up like a bad penny. So, the Ronnie, here's the thing. The Ronnie, I don't think's ever coming back at this point because as far as I'm concerned, they've treated the Ronnie as such a low-key character because she only appeared in 2 episodes on the TV show. That was Time in the Ronnie and Mark of the Ronnie, not in that order. And I remember during the 50th year, Kate O'Mara had to basically force her way in to the London Excel for the 50th anniversary celebration because they never even bothered to contact her. So I really wish they would let the Daleks take some time off because back in the day, they didn't appear every damn series. It would be years where you saw them again. And then, the Meddling Monk reappeared in Big Finish a number of times, and I'd love to see him back on the show. I recently rewatched Time Meddler, and I'd love to see him back. Ace, I'd love definitely to come back. They could do a spin-off with Sophie Aldred as Ace at the drop of a frickin' dime. But I don't know if they touched the Mara. with this generation, because then you'd have to explain what the Mar are, where they came from, and all that. Yeah, in the last series, a lot of people didn't notice that the only backward references or back references to Doctor Who and Series 11 were to modern episodes, the modern era. You see, I'm just using that as a classification, 2005 on. I'm hoping they do more with Yaz. I'm hoping they need to eject at least one of them, maybe two. Or get rid of the whole crew and start over. Well, Rassilon did get some payback. Got kicked off his own planet. All right, very good. Yeah, there was a Tom Baker 5-year gap. They need to lighten up the TARDIS interior. Good job there, John King. The thing is, I can dig the TARDIS interior, but it's too dark. I'd love to see Joe Grant back on the main show, because the only classic companions to appear on the main show is Sarah Jane and K9. Everyone else appeared on the Sarah Jane Adventures. Yeah, Sophie's in great shape. She'd love to do it. And I'd love to see her back. I really would. You see, that's where they went wrong with Class. The only thing anchoring Class, the Doctor Who, other than that one appearance by Peter Capaldi in the first episode, it's the Coal Hill Academy. Who gives a shit? That's the only thing that anchored it to the show. That's the thing, though. Will Nicola come back to acting? She's doing pretty good on the as Sophie Aldred is. Nah, the movie look was far more open. Yeah, sadly, it's been that long since Liz Sladen passed away. And there were so many things that was going to happen in that next series. There really was. Ace was coming back. They talked to Tom about doing an appearance as the Fourth Doctor. They talked to Sylvester McCoy. And they were basically, I think, going to do the same explanation that Moffat did for Peter Davison in Time Crash. Under the Lake and Before the Flood weren't bad. Okay, let me get caught up here a little bit with what's going on in the box. Remember, the super chat button is there. It is your friend. Oh, anything helps. As I put on the last video, I've been doing some digging. YouTube basically changed their algorithm to favor the larger channels. Meanwhile, all the smaller channels are getting smacked with not suitable or limited advertising. And guess what they're using? They're using the words in your description box and the title. So no matter what's in the video, you got to be careful how you word your title now. It's censorship at its classic. Yeah, I'm surprised nobody brought that up before, Mikey, about the recreation of Mission to the Unknowns coming up on the 9th. And it's going to be available on the Doctor YouTube channel. Trust me, I've been hearing a little bit more about the whole Peter Capaldi situation, and it's leaning towards the fact that, he was pushed out. I can't go into any more detail about that, but the more I'm hearing, the more, it's convincing me I was, I don't want to toot my own horn. I'm just saying I think I was right. Yeah, Class, like I said, when it got to that scene where they had the stone people boinking, that's it. I was done. I'm like, bye. Right there, I kind of, it just threw me for a loop. I still watched the rest of the series, but It could be, yeah, he's leaving because Bradley Walsh is an incredibly busy guy. He's doing the chase at the same time he's filming Doctor Who. Well, in between breaks and shooting for Who. Plus these other things he does and all that. And he's a busy guy. He's really all over the place. So, well, I was sad when I found out. Somebody brought up the sad of Tom Baker. Yeah, I would be too, because I had, like, my eyes were welling the whole night that I heard Liz Sladen had passed. I'm not kidding. That night at work, that was the longest 10-hour shift I ever had. So, well, it's also the way Peter Capaldi announced he was leaving. Remember, he appeared on that radio show, and then he just said, "No, I'm not coming back next year." And then the host even later said, "Nobody told me he was going to say that," which means the BBC didn't know about it either. Otherwise, it would have been told, the host would have been told as a subject to mention to bring it up. So, yeah, Strictly Come Butt Licking. Oh my God. So that's why I still believe that he was forced out. I really do. Then a few months later, we find out Chibnall, one of his conditions for taking the job was that he wanted to start with a female doctor. And the thing is, giving the rating situation out of Series 10, and here's the thing, whether you like Jodie or not, whether you like Chibnall or not, whether you like the direction Series 11 took or not, it did the job it had to do. They had to get those numbers back by any means necessary. And that's what it did. They had the highest opening episode since the beginning of the series, new series in 2005, with around 11 million viewers. I don't think it's going back to Saturday. I really don't. As much as I'd like it to, until I see proof of that, just assume it's going to stay on Sunday. Just like you had certain individuals going, they're going to have a Christmas special this year. And then next year there's going to be a Christmas episode again. And that's when Jodie's leaving. Oh God, what a lying sack. Well, here's my problems with the Ghostbusters 2016 movie. Now you've brought it up. I had no problems with there being female leads, but my big problem was the fact that it was a reboot. It was a remake. You have to remember, every news report that we had gotten up to that one point said Ivan Reitman was making Ghostbusters 3. And then all of a sudden, it's a reboot with some weirdo in charge that no one gives a shit about. And it turns out the only reason why you got a female cast, it wasn't an inspired act of brainwash. It wasn't a PCSJW conspiracy. It wasn't inspired thinking. It was the fact that Feig didn't like to work with male actors. That's why you got it. And then the Sony email hack came out confirming that the movie was Ghostbusters 3 and that it had been hijacked by that one chick up in upper echelons of Sony. I can't remember her name. And then she handed it to Feig. They hijacked the movie from Reitman, which is why I still can't believe that Aykroyd stayed on as an executive producer, because he should have walked at that point. Amy Pascal, thank you. It was Amy Pascal. And then guess what? By the time the movie bombed, and it did bomb, as we're sitting here right now, this evening, Ghostbusters 2016 is still about $70 million in the red. It did not make back the money it was put into it. Not by a long shot. Now, like I said, the only controversy to me and the only reason I think the fans were really pissed off, and then remember, a lot of the stories you heard about the fact that it was misogynist man babies and all that that was what Sony was saying. They were trying to discredit the people who were pissed off because they found out that their Ghostbusters 3 movie had been turned into this. That's why they were pissed off. It had nothing to do with the whole female lead thing. It didn't. That was a crock of shit invented by the Sony advertising machine to discredit fans who were pissed off that they were not getting the product they were promised up to that point. I had no problem with the movie. I liked it. It wasn't the worst movie I've seen. If you want to see a really bad movie, watch Manos, The Hands of Fate, and you'll never bitch about anything again. But to be honest with you, the one lady, Leslie Jones, I think her character was such a bad stereotype, it made me want to throw up. The other ones were basically replaying shtick that they'd done on Saturday Night Live. The only one that kept me going through the movie really was Kate McKinnon, because she was freaking crazy. I'm not kidding. I watched the whole movie just to see what that crazy bitch was going to do next. Yeah, man, I remember because the copy of Manos, Mid-Atlantic Gal, the copy of Manos I got in the box set, if you flipped it over, it had the raw movie. And I'm like, these guys watched this movie 6 times before they went in to do the riff cut. I'm like, you couldn't have paid me enough to watch Manos, The Hands of Fate. I'd rather have my testicles sanded off with a belt grinder than watch Manos, The Hands of Fate ever again. It was that bad. No, the only thing that made me mad was Leslie, what's her name, when she threw a screaming fit about the fact that when they announced that the new movie was going to be a sequel to the 84 and the 89 movie. And I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are? Ghostbusters was around before your movie ever was, yet you're going to try to sit there and throw an entitlement fit? Ugh. Oh, yeah, Mike the Collector, what are you going on about? I'm sorry. In the early days of slow down. Okay. No, yeah, even that Doom they made a few years ago with The Rock was freaking horrible. Yeah, that's what it was. They basically wimped out because they didn't want to go with the portal into hell thing, because they thought the movie would have been bitch slapped in the Bible Belt. So that's why they went with that stupid other dimension shit. It was just horrible. I'm like, oh, yeah, Doom 2005 I was talking about there. Okay, Spidey back in the MCU. Here's the thing. I have still got to go sit back and rewatch Homecoming. Then I have to find a copy of, the next one. No, what's the one? Far From, what's the next one? The first one was Homecoming. Then there's Far From Home. Or was that the first one? I can't remember. So I got to rewatch those. I heard about the Gem movie, and it was, oh my God. Yeah, there was nothing to do with the cartoon. How many here remember that Thundercats reboot you don't hear about anymore? Okay, Neo, let me answer that again. Unit is always up for a return, but I'll believe it when I see it, because remember, some of the central characters that are involved are Moffat characters, such as Osgood. So they'd have to explain where Osgood is, why she's not involved. They have been using that character in Big Finish, but bringing a character back onto the air is a whole different ball of wax. Okay, so the first one was Homecoming. Yes, I got to go back and rewatch Homecoming. I heard it's still getting done, but he got slammed through the wall. It's like, let me get this straight. You're taking one of the best animated cartoons of the 80s and turning it into a laugh fest. Go screw yourself. Put it in a pencil sharpener and keep going until it's dead. Yeah. My throat's still really dry from doing the long. Put it in a pencil sharpener until it's down to your nutsack. I'm not kidding. That Thundercats roar thing was stupid. It's like, really? What it was in your man bun head that made you think this was going to be a hit? Oh, man. Yes, anyone who wears a man bun, and it should be a government regulation that you're allowed to carry a pair of shears and go, get that thing out of there. You're not Buddha, Jesus, or whatever. Do you think Jesus wore a man bun? Or is that controversial? I don't know. I have not drank since, I think 2009, 2010. And there's a long story behind that. It's not that I was an alcoholic. It's just a lot of the times I did drink, it was with a particular group of people. And then when the one fella passed away, who was Claude Joseph Manning, it's just that kind of like that part of me died with him, you know? And for you folks who have been around, I've already told you about Joe, how he ran a fan convention here in Ohio from 91 to 2006, a fan-run convention that ran for 15 years. And there was only like, I can count on one hand with fingers to spare how many years we actually had guests. Like we had Robert O'Reilly there. That's where I got my one Robert O'Reilly autograph. There was Robin Curtis, who played Savick in Star Trek 3, and she was a bitch. I'm not kidding. She's like, put my room down here so I could be near the room parties. And the guys told her, look, room parties at Camp Dover Peace Conference, which was the name of the convention, do not end until the last person drops. And that's usually about 6 to 8 a.m. the following morning. And she was warned. But no, she wanted her thing down in the block where because they always put the room parties off in their own block in the hotel. Well, sure enough, she went whining, complaining, and all that, and bitching about the noise. This, that, these, and those. At least this is the story I was told. I didn't really get a chance to talk to Robin Curtis personally, so this is what I'm hearing from the people who ran, some of the people who were involved with the con. So, also another reason, yeah, not too long after that, they started putting me on medications for different things, and I always, was a little bit weird about mixing alcohol with any kind of medication, so that was another reason why I quit. No, I do not have children. I didn't want any, therefore I don't have any. It's called, here's some of the, how many there have, wild teenage kids? And you don't know how to really address the whole, sex issue. I'm going to pass you some of the greatest words of wisdom that kept me out of that whole mess. One day I was over at my grandma Rosalie's. We called her mother. And we're sitting there talking, and she goes, she was in her 60s at the time. And she goes, now, Brian, I'm going to tell you this. You're going to go out, you're going to go buy a box of condoms or rubbers, whatever they call them. Yes, we're getting controversial. Oh, here go the censorship flags. Well, she's sitting there talking to me, and she goes, and you'd better keep some around, because if you come to me, your mom, your dad, we're all going to look at you and tell you the exact same sentence. If you tell us you got somebody pregnant, or you got a disease that you shouldn't have, we're going to say this exact same phrase. Now write this down, because you're going to tell your kids this. You should have thought about that before you dropped your pants. And that one phrase has kept my ass out of so much trouble. So yes, despite the fact I was a fat man, there were opportunities. Yeah. So pass that on. A bit of wisdom from me to you. You should have thought about that before you dropped your pants. So yeah, keep that in mind. They start lecturing you. Tell them, hey, you should have thought about that before you dropped your pants. Hello from Russia. Okay. Well, all I can say is, if you're going to flood my chat, goodbye to Russia. Yeah. Don't worry, I just put them in the timeout box that if they're dumb enough to reappear, they'll be kicked. For some reason lately, somebody seems to think they're going to bomb my channel. I have an eerie feeling no, it's not James. Believe it or not, James has been busy with other things. I don't want to go into it. He's living his life. I'm living mine. Let's leave it there. You see, somebody else got a little pissed off because they got called out on their bullshit. And sure, no, it's not James. It's not little Jimmy. Jimmy, for once, has been innocent. He's off on his own thing. So let's leave his name out of it because, well, I don't think it's random. I think it's a certain other person who their predictions didn't come true, we'll say. And they're from Ireland. Well, that's all we'll say. Yeah, that new K9 show was made in Australia, and it was all right, but you have to remember, the guys who own K9, they also own the character of Omega. They were trying to put together an independent fan movie with K9 versus Omega. But here's your conundrum. Who the hell's Omega going to be? Because you don't have any rights to anything regarding Time Lords, TARDISes, or Doctor Who. So it was basically just going to be a guy named Omega versus K9. And if you watch the new K9 series, and I did give it a chance, it starts off with K9 beaming out of this portal, blah, blah, blah. He's firing his gun. He's been in an unnamed battle and can't remember why, what, or who was involved. And then his regeneration mode kicks on. They can still use the term regeneration. They just can't apply it to Time Lords. And he changed into that floating little footstool thing that he was. It was a cool design. I got into it, but yeah, but the thing is, what are you going to do with Omega? He can't be a Time Lord. It can't involve any storyline that was in Doctor Who. It can't involve TARDISes because they're copyrighted Doctor Who. So I don't know what honestly they thought they were going to do with it. No, Big Finish can. This was a completely independent production. It was going to do the K9 versus Omega movie with the guys who own those two characters. I'm going to go off the brain noggin here, so don't quote me, but I think it was, I want to say Dave Martin and Bob Baker, something like that. They own those two characters. They created them. But no, this was not Big Finish. This is an independent production. They could say he's an antimatter creature, but they can't say how he got that way, where he got his powers. Oh, yeah, there's plenty of opportunities out there for spinoffs. But the Big Finish guy, the BBC guys don't want to do them. They could have done so much more with class. Like one of the things that really just fried my bacon, that they came out with that class series for Big Finish, right? And in the third or fourth story, I can't remember which, guess who shows up at Coal Hill Academy? Sophie Aldred as Ace. And I'm like, why the hell didn't they do this on the damn TV show? It might have actually kept me interested. Well, the thing is this. You have to remember that William Russell, who played Ian Chesterton, is now into his 90s. Are you kidding? There was people watching a reaction channel the other day who were speculating that the meddling monk was the master. Because he kept referring to his master plan. Also, there's a lot of people who said it had something to do with, you remember who was in charge of the Land of Fiction? A character named the Master, if I remember right. I'm going to go off the top of my head. So there was a lot of speculation and weirdness about that, but I was hoping Omega was going to be the big villain of like Series 6. It wasn't going to be the Silence and that miserable shit they did. I expected so much more. The reason why the TARDIS, here's how I would have written it if I did it. The reason why the TARDIS had to be destroyed in the way it was, at the point it had to be, was the cracks in the universe were opened by the TARDIS so Omega could come back from the antimatter universe. Bam. Right there. Took me, 5 minutes? Well, actually, that's what I've been thinking about for a couple of years. Yet, no. We got to come up with this stupid thing where we're going back and forth trying to convince everybody that, Amy had a baby with the doctor, all those stupid old lines and shticks. Don't get me wrong. I love A Good Man Goes to War, but some of the wordplay in there was just badly chosen. Yeah, there was the Master of the Land of Fiction. Yep. The monk was a totally different character. And once again, I had to break it to somebody on a reaction channel. Look, spoiler alert, but he doesn't reappear except in Big Finish. Yeah, it's getting towards that time anyway, folks. It's coming up on 8 o'clock. So here's what we know. According to Jodie Whittaker, as of yesterday, they're getting near the end of filming for Series 12 finally. It's almost at its end. The only guys we have definitely confirmed are like, Jadoon, Cyberman. We know Stephen Fry is making an appearance. They have an episode based off that one spy from World War II. Forgive me, I don't have my notes in front of me. And that's pretty much confirmed because the actors who played her put up her wardrobe with the character's name on the tag in the photo. And there was a rumor that Florence Nightingale was getting an episode. But remember, that was based off a photo shot from far away of someone who just happened to be wearing a dress that looks similar to one that they had in a picture of Florence Nightingale. So that one's we got to leave that on the definite rumor pile. Same thing with the Sea Devils until I see something definite. I'm going to leave them on the rumor pile along with the Master being played by Sacha Dhawan. We're going to leave that on the rumor pile. Like I said, I really don't watch a whole lot of YouTube other than, every now and then I'll pick it up, put something on to listen to. Like I'll throw something on when I'm on the treadmill. So I got something to watch, keep me and little group busy. So we have something to watch when I'm on the treadmill. And okay, folks, I'm going to wind this down and get out of here. So nobody pressed the super chat. I'm unloved. Oh, well, I'll live. But remember, every little bit helps. Please try to like, subscribe, share the videos anywhere you can because I work during the week. I try to get them shared out on Facebook, Twitter, and maybe one or two other places best I can. But as of right now, like used to be, I could put up a video within 24 hours. It was over 1,000 views. Now I'm lucky if it hits 1,000 views in 2 days because they've changed the algorithms around and they've played these stupid games with the not suitable for most advertisers shit. So the thing is, I like this little bit of money. Like I said, I don't do it as a job, but it's still a little bit of money helps. Yeah, I do watch Seska, some Ace Creeper every now and then. Torchwood Boy, I'm not a big fan. Not my deal. He's too much of a crier. Well, good night, everyone. Please take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as the news come in, we'll have some more stuff up. So take care, everyone.